So how can we now use such an interface? Well, an interface, even though it contains no logic, is a type. That's really important, because that means that you can use it anywhere where a type is needed. For example, here in our main Go file, we can go to this save data function on which we're working and use this new saver interface as a type for data. So this here is now our interface, and that's now used as a type for data. And that simply means that we guarantee that whatever data will be, whichever concrete type of value it will be of some type that adheres to that saver interface, so that signed that saver interface contract. Whichever type we receive here for data will have signed that contract. Therefore, inside of save data, we can safely call this save method on data. And Go and the IDE won't complain here. That means that we can basically copy all our code here and paste that into save data. I just have to make sure that I'm returning an error here, and that we use the := operator now, because now here in this function, that's the first time we're creating this error variable. And we should use data.save instead of user_node_save. And here, if we have an error, I want to return that error. Otherwise, if we make it past this, I'll return nil. So we got all this logic in this new save data function now. And that allows us to go back to the main function and get rid of this code here, and instead simply call save data and pass our user node to save data. Now save data returns an error, so we should also handle that and check if we have an error, so if it's not nil, in which case I want to return and end the program. Now here it would have ended after this line of code anyways, so we technically don't need to do this here, but we will need to do this up here, where I can also replace this code for saving the to-do. Now here we can also call save data, but now we pass the to-do to save data. And here I then want to handle the error so that I exit out of the program without trying to save the node, if saving the to-do fails. And that's how we can use this interface. If we run this code again, I can therefore enter all this information again, and everything works as before. I'm getting no errors. Instead, my files here are updated and contain the data I entered. So this all works, but why can I actually provide to-do and user node as input values for save data? Why is Go not complaining about that? After all, I'm expecting a value of type saver here, which is my interface. So why can I pass my struct values here? We can pass to-do and user node as values to save data, which wants a value of type saver, because this interface, the saver interface, simply says that a valid value must have a save method which takes no arguments and returns an error. And unlike in other programming languages, in Go, you don't have to explicitly connect this interface to some other type to force that type to adhere to that interface. Instead, Go simply takes a look at the value you're passing to save data here, which wants such an interface type, and it takes a look at that value and simply checks if that value, that to-do struct in this case, has such a save method that fulfills the requirements of my saver interface. And that's the case, because the requirement is a save method without arguments and an error return type, and that's exactly what we have here. So Go sees that the to-do struct as well as the node struct, that both these structs have this save method and therefore correctly implement this interface. And that's why we can pass those values without any issues to save data. And that's why interfaces can be really useful, because they can help us write more generic and more flexible code, more reusable code. Because we can now use one save data function here to save the data for two different types of values.